would also note for the record that Mr. Ruff and the mayor are not present. First item of business, as it usually always is the approval of the minutes of the October 3rd meeting. I turned in numerous corrections. They were basically minor, though. I missed a couple. Ms. Jordan picked up one. You want me to start with the list, or do you want to start with your change?
You already have it?
You go ahead.
Oh, all right. Well, I think I read in the Borough Magazine we have to announce them at least. The date was wrong at the top.
Yep.
There was a small change in the minutes were approved as amended.
Yep.
It's Mr. Joseph Piparato, not J. Piparato. On page 2, the word early, I believe, should be taken out. Next paragraph, under the crossing guards, the word suite should be suit, I believe. The next paragraph, it should be Mr. Gratz mentioned, not reminded, although he said he reminded. I think it's mentioned. Under my report, I mentioned the Community Coalition meeting was well attended, and it should read the next meeting is not yet scheduled. The next paragraph down under my report, the date was October 15th, 2022. And in the last paragraph under my report, it's Officers Wood and Velasquez, not just Officer Wood. On the fire committee report, it should be volunteer fire department, not voluntary fire department. And Ms. Jordan, read your correction. All right, on the last page, it should be Ms. Jordan mentioned Booker Hill was Mr. Ruff, I believe. Anybody else have any other changes?
I just have requested changes with the privilege of the floor section. If we can just add that it's a second, fourth story building, if we could just put fourth story in there for completeness. And also ask that it note that they are seeking the text change because the zoning denied their plans previously.
Yeah, the request for a variance was.
Yes.
That was mentioned, yes. Okay,
Yes.
with those changes, are there any others? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
So moved.
That would be Ms. Jordan, is there a second?
I'll second.
That would be Ms. Johnson, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I have no presentations tonight. Anybody wish to address council on privilege of the floor? I don't think so. Mr. Zafko, you said you didn't want to?
No, thank you.
Perfect. First item for discussion is draft resolution 2022-27. Resolution of the Council of the Borough of Fountain Hill, implementing Act 57. I believe it deals with the delinquent taxes.
Yeah, it amends the local tax collection law, providing new homeowners to receive a waiver from the property tax penalty charges if they do not receive a bill within their first year of owning the property. Additionally, it also provides that tax collectors cannot be personally liable if they are found to be acting in good faith. So it is a requirement. This was drafted by our solicitor for all of their municipal clients, and we pretty much need to pass it. So it would be on the agenda for final passage in the first meeting in November.
Anybody have any comments on it? Hearing none. Anybody object to putting it on the November agenda? All right, it'll be on the November agenda. There are no draft ordinances for review and advertisement. Under old business, there are 3 matters. The drug take-back date is Saturday, October the 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I believe that's here in Borough Hall or the police station.
Yeah, at the police station.
Remind everybody, trick or treat night is the night before, October 28th, 6 to 8. That's rain or shine. And then the holiday tree lighting ceremony is December the 4th at 4 o'clock, and that's across the street in front of the firehouse.
Yep.
Correct, and note that 4 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. because some of the band children walk home and it gets very dark when we start at 5. So that was the request that they had made last year.
Okay. Any other items of old business?
Nothing under old business.
All right, new business, discussion item, the 3-year agreement with the Humane Society. I looked at it. Has the solicitor looked at it?
It is, yes, he has looked at it. It's similar to the agreement that we signed for last year. But last year we opted, because it was kind of a last minute thing and we needed to do so in the interest of time. We paid $300 per dog and had no provision for taking cats there. This allows us up to unlimited dogs, and the cap on stray cats is 20 per year. If we do have a feral cat problem, they do offer grants for trap, neuter, and release programs. So if that would occur, being a contractee of theirs offers us the opportunity to apply for one of those. And also by doing a 3-year agreement, it locks in our rate and it's not subject to increases every year. So effectively we'll pay $1,000 annually, but then we're guaranteed that price for those 3 years. I think it is a very good contract for a very worthwhile service for the community and for folks' pets in case they do get away and become strays.
Well, I agree. The only problem I had with it was their opt-out provision, so they can opt out and raise the rates. But that was the problem that I had with it. But I think it's a very good deal for us.
Yeah, and I will tell you that since we partnered with them last year, and their new executive director has come in probably there 4 years now and has done a phenomenal job. Obviously, I'm familiar with them from my time in Allentown, and they were always good, but he's done a phenomenal job of making changes, and they've been a great partner for us and the police department to work with this past year. So,
And I agree 100%. Anybody have any comments on that? We're all agreeing it can be on November the 7th agenda?
Absolutely.
All right.
all right, and we will plan for that in the budget process accordingly then. I also have another item for new business and before we move on that popped up. So the school had reached out to me actually yesterday and inquired if we were interested in doing anything for Veterans Day. I had told her obviously we historically have not, that we do Memorial Day, Arbor Day, and the holiday tree lighting, but that I would mention it tonight to council if that's something we would be interested in. Admittedly, they really don't have anything planned. Their thought was to reach out to school children and their families to see if anyone had veterans. I know it's kind of short notice, so I'm not sure how logistically possible that is going to be for this year. But if it's something we're interested in exploring, I can certainly talk to Paige from the school district and see where we go.
Did they say what they wanted us to do?
No, so I think it would just be kind of a joint sponsor, and her and I would brainstorm and come up with a plan, which is why I think, absent a plan at this point, I think we're pushing a little bit close to try and pull something together for November.
We can discuss that for next year. We can make a good plan for next year, but this is a little.
Yeah, Veterans Day is only 23 days
Yeah,
away.
and that's kind of what I thought of, bringing it up and say, just gauging the interest this year and then telling her, like, let's start the planning process now. So we come up with a game plan and put something on that's nice, and we can use the school kind of similar to we did for Memorial Day because of the inclement weather. So, all right, I will pass that along to them. Thank you.
Okay. All right, council action items, there are none. Before we get the privilege of the floor in the executive session, I want to remind everybody that we're meeting next Wednesday night and the Wednesday night afterwards as a committee of the whole for budget. I believe it'll be streamed. There will not be privilege of the floor. It's not a formal council session. It's a committee of the whole. Although if somebody wants to address council on a budget item, a proposed budget item, and they're not too long-winded, I'm not going to object. But there's not going to be general privilege of the floor. And those meetings are starting at 6 for our friends out who are watching this being streamed.
Yes, and you are correct. We need to allow public comment on the budget items, but yeah, there's no obligation to allow for general privilege of the floor.
All right, is there anybody, we're back to privilege of the floor. Anybody wish to address council on any item whatsoever? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to move into executive session. We are not coming back, and the executive session is to address a personnel item, or a personnel matter, I should say. Mr. Travel, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Johnson, have a standing vote, and we'll meet, actually, we'll ask Mrs. Blanton and Mr. Zofko to leave.